Welcome to our 800
Blah,
wow.
blah, blah, blah,
Our
blah.
eight our 800-pound podcast where three big guys talk about really big topics. Today we're going to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons, something we've all had a little bit of experience in.
Yes.
Something is some of us had more experience than others. Rich, you probably had the most.
Yep.
Uh,
Um,
by
Easily.
far the least.
but no, probably the most. We're gonna be discussing some things we like, some things we don't like, and just kind of our views on things. We're gonna start it off with the D&D experience. What are our favorite
Yes.
parts of D&D? Shadow, you can start with this one.
For me, it's the storytelling that D&D creates. Like it's almost you're able to create your character and get lost in a completely different world. Where really like the only boundary of that entire world is creativity. Depending on your DM and stuff like that, and everything. Like there's limitless ability, limitless things you can do in that world. My favorite thing has always been just the story that it tells. It's crazy that you start out with some base storyline that is just kind of most of the time just a given and used as a template, and then what it can evolve into is something amazing. I mean, I've watched D&D for many years, and you wouldn't think it's something that you could get so caught up in the storyline, but it's something that I've gotten caught up in the storyline. I've gotten like even emotionally attached to some of the characters that are in it, and you go along with the journey and everything else that they tell. It's almost amazing what just a bunch of players at a table or wherever, what kind of a great story they can tell. And that's the thing that I've always enjoyed about it. I mean, like there are some people that love the combat and everything like that, and it's a lot of fun, especially uh, doing it and everything and watching it at a time. But for me, the thing that I've always watched D&D for is just to see what the story is that they tell. And it's crazy to think that some D&Ds can go on for years and years and years just on the same exact storyline. Um, and to me, that's what makes D&D great. Is just
Yeah.
to be able to use your creativity to for limitless, you know, possibilities in a different world is what
Mhm.
to me makes it a great experience.
I
Mm.
agree, and like for from the amount of story that like we all had a campaign together, and it was I had a baseline, like I had a story that we were following, but I think that was probably gone halfway through.
Yeah. We also had a lot of new people, not including myself. So
No, definitely not including Pritch. I know the viewers haven't watched our campaign, but
You
for
still
you
can
guys,
though.
you still can. It is out there somewhere. For you guys, after you killed the white dragon, it was all gone. Everything it was like that was it. That was it was out the window. But yeah,
So
I love I love the story side of things. Being the forever DM in a lot of groups, I DM a lot, and I do really like the story side of things. Again, yeah, just like you start out as like a friend group or whatever, and you start out with just characters that you thought you've just done that you maybe thought were cool, and then you finish like emotionally attached to this story. And I'm creating our new campaign right now, and I'm doing it a little differently than I have in the past, and I'm realizing that I'm genuinely writing a book. Like I'm just writing a
yeah,
book. That's all. Like I'm writing a book. It only has 6 chapters, or no, it has 10 chapters. So it's just a full on book, and it's like, wow, I'm very invested in this story. So
that's what's so great about it.
I like
mhm.
um I like making fun of the other people we play with that can't do simple mental math when they're
Math is
doing their
hard,
dice
bro. Like,
rolls.
okay,
It is hard.
um
you know,
no, but like in all seriousness, I this sounds stupid. My favorite part is like making the character and like the backstory and everything like that. And then
Mhm.
after that, it just I don't know. Like I guess the I like the ability of just being whatever personality you want to be. So role play, I guess, would be a better word for that.
Mhm.
Fritz spends 40 hours at the create a character screen in video games.
He does. He
It's I do actually. Like it's funny because we have that campaign coming up and I'm pretty sure everyone already has their character made and I had
I have not even made one. Not
no,
okay.
even.
I
and that's the whole thing. Remember, you guys aren't allowed to make characters.
well I haven't
Well,
even
You
like
guys,
I honestly haven't even thought. I thought of like what or like class I wanted to be or whatever, but aside from that, I have not thought of a single thing.
which is perfect. You don't need to think about anything.
Not even a backstory. Like I don't even have anything having to do
Don't,
with a backstory
I
yet.
should be an
because we'll come out.
LP little person.
Which is
You
like a
can,
You
dwarf.
which is just which is like a very normal thing in D&D.
yeah. But I mean comparatively to the last campaign where I was this gigantic half orc with the voice changer and he's
Oh, God,
stupid
yeah.
but he's tough. And I could just be like this little guy, you know?
To the
Mhm.
bard, who I
Well,
still
and
believe you should be.
that give you, I don't know, that give you a really good, like, I don't want to say out, but like as a new person, you're like, I'm just the big guy that hits things. But now like
I'm the
now
little
you
guy
have
that hides behind everyone else.
Oh, God.
are you just trying to be like you are you just trying to like tell us how you really feel in real life? Like I wish I were the little guy.
Yeah.
Big man, but with the little running away
I wish I
personality. Got
could
it.
ride roller coasters without my knees banging into the front of the car.
Oh man. Can you wait, hold on, you can get in the roller coaster?
Some of them.
Yeah, some of them just can't even like there's they won't go over like
I'm surprised they never came up with like a you must be this tall to ride, but you can't be any taller than this to ride.
Well, a lot of the thing with roller coasters is depending on the park you go to, a lot of them are older. Like they've been around for decades, and I mean, they don't really account for larger people, so to speak, because it's mostly kids.
I don't know the big roller coasters. I don't know.
I did actually go on one roller coaster that had a you can't be taller than this height to go on.
Oh,
So
really? I've never seen that before.
yeah, my buddy was with me, he was 6'5", couldn't go on, but I got
Really?
to. They're just like, you got to be really careful
It probably goes
'cause
under
there,
a certain part, and you could get
Decapitation.
decapitated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it was like a roller coaster, but then it would go underground, and so in those
Oh,
tunnels,
jeez.
you like could get decapitated if you're too tall.
What a way to go out.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to our. I'm really looking forward to our campaign
Yeah,
when that rolls around. Honestly, like I said, I'm trying to go into it with like a you know I definitely want to be somebody different than I was in the last campaign, and I think like the people that we have on it will afford me that. Honestly, um, but just excited for the story. Like I said, the story is the best part for me,
mm,
and I think with like the theme that we have, there can be a lot of good storylines to tell.
yeah. No, we have some I have some good ideas. It's gonna be good, but um, yeah. We already talked about it a little bit, but for me, it's just the it's just kind of figuring out where looking at where things go because
Especially with how like excited you are about it, I feel like you're going to be even more invested this time than even
it's
last
my
time.
it's my
Because
whole
last
it's
time it
my
was
entire yeah, it's my entire story. So
be, because like last time when we had our campaign, I feel like even though you were invested, you knew that okay, this is a beginner campaign. You know, this is teaching players how to play Dungeons and Dragons, which
yeah,
is both good, but it's not nearly as exciting as I feel like going into a campaign like being able to know that you can put anything in there practically. You don't need to really handhold people through it. So I mean,
yeah. And well, I mean, Pritch really did hold our hands that whole time.
Yeah, you guys suck.
Yeah,
I know. Like this time, we'll live up to Pritch's standards, and
we'll be good enough. We'll
we can
finally
we
be
can
good
be good
enough.
enough. I will bring a calculator and everything.
I just had the most boring character for the second half of that campaign.
Oh, For the first half, he was great.
Yeah, and then it was just like, I'm gonna hit things hard over and over again. But at the same time, I think if you didn't have my character, you would have struggled with a lot of the fights much more.
Oh yeah,
It's hard.
like
It's hard to say because I think what also made it like both good and not good is like that we had two barbarians as well, so it made it like we have two things that hit things really hard.
Oh my god, we
But
had a couple people that mispronounced my person's name every single
it.
time. And it's a good thing we didn't have cameras on because internally I was losing it.
I was the only ones. I think I was the only one streaming that, right? All except for the very first episode is on my channel.
Well,
For some reason, I don't have the very first one up there.
so we're just missing the very first part of the story.
Yeah, the very opening one. I don't know what happened to
It's
it. Honestly,
unwatchable.
I thought I had done it, but I guess not. You know, maybe I didn't hit the record button.
He accidentally overwrote it in his hard drive with Boner Jams 96.
Yeah.
97.
Orange
97.
Much better year. 97 was a better year.
Yeah, I think we're probably gonna stream this one, right? We're probably
I am at least. I mean, I'm
yeah,
going to
yeah.
do
We
it
should make a
this
little thing
time.
of it. Maybe our 100 pound podcast D&D coming. I don't know, maybe. Anyways, we'll go on to the next question here. This is a little more open ended. It's just this question is how does D&D work? So playing versus DMing. I'll start it off here because I'm the only one that has DM'd. I know that some of my colleagues, Pritch,
Colleagues.
have had some of my colleagues have interest in DMing, not Pritch.
Wait, you're getting paid for this?
Absolutely.
But when it comes to the DMing side of things, so I this is something I figured out recently. I am currently in school to be a teacher, and I'm pretty close. I'm in a school right now doing my internship. I'm pretty close to graduating, pretty close to getting my degree. Running a class or of kids in a school is like 95% similar to running a D&D campaign. Like it's my teachers are telling me how every single day I should prep about 1.5 days worth of stuff because just in case they get through all of my planned stuff and fly off the reins. That is just a D&D campaign. Like DMing is genuinely just looking after a classroom of elementary students. That's all it is, and I want to make sure that my students have enough that'll interest them for the day. That'll enough that I don't have to even think. There's a big theory or there's a big idea in teaching of like how if you have multiple classes in a day, you want to like teach something new in one of them, and then the rest just have a work period because you don't want to teach something new in multiple classes. With D&D, I'm just gonna give you what you already know, and I'm gonna let you tell me what's gonna happen with it. There are ways. There are times when we would play where I would have maybe like 4 sentences of notes. Um,
That's because I think we got to the point where we were like, you could almost guarantee every session that no matter what you wrote down, whatever the
mhm.
game plan was that you wrote down was never gonna go that direction.
And I feel like we had people and their like sole purpose was just to derail whatever you had planned.
Yes, yeah. I'm gonna check the door. Stealth the door.
But like, I,
Stealthily, not very,
yeah, I
very
honestly
quiet.
think that that's. I
Roll for
honestly think that
prescription.
it's a very good description, honestly, because I think you came with. Because I remember talking to you before like the sessions and stuff, and like I feel like as the campaign went on, you came up with less and less of a game plan before the session
Yeah,
started.
I really didn't need to.
To the
Like
point where you were like, you know what, I'm just gonna wing it tonight. You know.
the thing about being a DM is you just have to have kind of a little bit of knowledge saved up and just like a few ideas and just the ability to filibuster your way through things. Like when you got back to town and I just have to come up with a or you save an orc captain, and I have to come up with the fact that he randomly goes back to town and starts selling drug flowers. Like I don't. That's not planned.
That was weird.
that,
Drug
that was,
flowers? What?
remember the red, blue, green, and yellow
I
flowers?
know. No. What?
And it wasn't
We
just
would
some
never
guy.
sell
It was
drugs.
yeah, it was like yeah, it was just like an orc captain that you just like didn't kill.
Oh, the dude
But
that was like growing that stuff was so messed up.
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like it's stuff like that where you just kind of have to you just have to say what first comes to mind and go with it because I there's no time for me to write something up or go research something while we are actively playing. So
Ooh, I'm
DMing's
excited. I'm excited for the pirate name generator usage for this campaign.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure there is.
hold on.
That has to be a thing, like pirate name generator.
And I'm guessing there'll be other ships and maybe do like a pirate ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
God.
Pirate
ship
name generator.
names should be good.
Give me a number between 1 and 5 or 1 and 10.
10.
Preston Golden Tooth McKay.
Nice.
Shadow, give me a number between 1 and 10.
7.
Ryland Treasure Hayden. That's not a good one, but still there's still it's still good. It's still there.
I feel like you have to say that
good.
one with an accent.
I don't have an accent, so yeah.
I feel like
Let's,
I'm gonna have you do that, and that's gonna just be my character's last name.
The whole it's all gonna be the last name?
No, whatever the last name is of the character, the generated name is gonna be like the last name of my character.
Okay, well hold on. Pritch, give me a number out of 10 one more time.
10.
This is a ship name generator. You picked Julius. The Julius.
The Julius.
The orange
The doc-
Julius.
The Dr. J.
The Dr. J. But yeah,
I've probably used that generator like playing Sea of Thieves. Sometimes like you have captain ships. Sometimes I'm like, dude, I don't know what to call this, and yeah.
So yeah, like oh,
There's a woman behind me.
woman.
Shoot.
Chuka. Yeah, DM is fun. You guys wouldn't know. I hear that there's might be someone that wants to run things one day.
I mean, I kind of, I do and I don't. No, I both do and I don't. But what do you think, Rich?
Yeah, Pritch, it's you I'm talking about.
What do I think about?
The idea of DMing.
I would never do it. I don't
Just
have
being a player versus DMing.
Oh, yeah, I don't have time to DM, and I hardly have time to even play a campaign. There's
You have the patience.
Well, I'm not
DM.
gonna lie. There's some weeks where it comes up, and you're like, I do not want to do this today.
Oh no,
You
100%.
have the
I
same
don't
thing
wanna
about the
DM you.
podcast too. Like,
Oh yeah.
But-
We always want to do this every single week.
well, especially like with the kind of day I've had.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't want to. It's tough to cancel because then like something else comes up next week, and then you're like, before you know it, you're 3 weeks behind, and which is especially
good thing-
tough in D&D because there's a story. You don't remember what happened last time.
Well, it's just to keep up also the like I feel like when you go multiple weeks without playing D&D, you kind of get out of the the immersion of it a lot of
Yeah.
times when you go because when we had that happen last one, and when you came back it didn't feel the same right
Yeah,
away.
It was I know that I'm all about analogies tonight, but when coming back after a long time of D&D felt exactly the same as seeing my long distance fiance after like 2 months.
Yeah,
Take a couple days, you're like, oh, what's
Well, you
this?
spend like 30 minutes just trying to get caught up before you even get into it.
I think the good thing about the podcast wise is that it's only usually like an hour or so. It's not a continuous story. The difference with D&D is that it's a continuous story, and that you want to stay immersed in the storyline. But if you go 3 weeks or something like that without doing it, it kind of gets lost.
Do you guys? I mean, Shadow, I don't know if you've done this, but do you guys prefer in-person campaigns?
I mean, I had fun when you guys came.
Well, that was one day.
But
that was a lot for me.
But you gotta understand, like, comparison to all of the rest of the time that we had our campaign, though, one of the most fun nights we had was when we were all together. I mean, I feel like it makes it much easier as well. I think the campaign is much easier to do, and I'm sure that it's like because you can actually see each other, and I feel like there's less like talking over each other and all this kind of stuff because you can actually like look at each other and do it. I just feel like in person one is a million times better, honestly.
It's easier and it's harder for the DM. Like online, I have to do a lot more in the way of visual aid. Um, but at the same time, I don't have to do as much of controlling, if that makes sense. Whereas, like in person, I have to. Usually, I have a big whiteboard and I just like print out all of my little guys and I stand them up and you guys see each other or whatever and see the enemies. But it's a lot harder to control a room of 6 men or women, 6 people, than it is to be like, hey, you're just gonna get muted while I'm trying to talk about this.
Yeah. I mean, Riley's in like an all girls in person D&D thing, and I think at first she was a little apprehensive, but I think she actually really likes it.
Yeah, and I
I,
I
I would
I
prefer
love
in
D and D.
person,
Yeah,
but like,
I have one group going on in person right now, and it's kind of like that immersion thing you were talking about. We play once a month, which is already I want more, but they all have kids, I guess. So I mean, like weird,
Gross.
disgusting. So they're all busy. So we play once a month, and we planned last month to play, and then the day before came, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, I have a bad feeling that nobody knows about this." So we texted the chat, and everyone's like, "Yeah, we're all busy." So it's been 2 months now, and
honestly, I feel
last
like at
when
that
we
point,
le-
is it even worth it? Honestly, like
w-
a lot of times,
when we
because
left
like,
off, yeah,
how can you ever like actually stay immersed in anything or make it feel like it's you kind of get emotionally attached to it when you go months without actually even doing
yeah.
anything about it, you know?
When we
But
left off, my character had to flee town and change his name because he got arrested. So I mean, like that was cool, and then now I just don't know where we are.
exactly, like you get like that you kind of get that excitement of okay, what's going to happen next, and then you go like months and months without having anything, and it's like the
Yeah.
excitement of that is lost. The moment is done, you know, like it's past
So,
of what's going to happen next. But
and I feel like there's a really good um, line of like, "Hey, we don't play too much, so we don't get burned out." But I'm still very excited about. I'm like scheming about what happened last session
yeah,
and be like,
because I mean, I remember like our original idea was to play every other week.
"Yeah,"
But we just started having so much fun that it became a weekly thing then.
which we are not doing this time. We all have lives. We all have too much of a life.
So like it was kind of interesting how that worked. But to me,
Yeah.
like DMing for like from what I see, because like I've watched, because I've watched Critical Role for
Yeah.
many years. I can't even tell you since their first season of Critical Role, but DMing, I would love to do it because of the amount of creativity it does take. Not only just in creating you create the world and everything that goes on in it, basically. Almost. I mean, even if it may not go like that, like in your mind and on paper or whatever. I mean, like watching Matt Mercer, for instance, which is like the extreme of
None
DMs.
of us are Matt Mercer.
Yeah, is which is the extreme of the extreme, but like um the amount of notes, but the world that he creates and how lively he makes it and everything like that. But also watching him, and which I think a DM, the difference is that like you have to be a good at ad libbing. You have to be able to be good at at just adjusting on the fly at any moment. And I've seen him do entire sessions of not even having a story. He was like, okay, well, I don't have anything prepared. I'm just going to make something up on the spot and
Yeah.
go. And I think as a DM, you need to be able to. What makes DMing to me so hard, and which makes it a million times harder than the players, is the players like dictate. kind of almost dictate where with the story and everything like that. And the DM almost has to, even though it should be like the players have to react to the DM. I think a lot
No,
of times it's
DM
the
has to
opposite.
react to the player. Yeah.
It's most of the time it's the DM's. The DM puts it out there. The players do what they want to do, and the DM has to find a way to react. And it may not be anything close to what
Yeah.
he expected. And if you're
Your
not good at being ad-libbing or anything like that, it's going to make it really terrible. So in order to be a good DM compared to being a player, you have to be good at expecting the unexpected. I mean, honestly, and being able to take what's given to you and find a way to make it interesting. Because if they do something interesting and you're just like, okay, well, let's just go on to the next bit.
Yeah.
That's not fun or interesting or anything like that. And I think it's much easier to be a player, um, just not because of like the amount of work that the DM does beforehand, before the game even starts, before the campaign even starts. It's just the fact that the players only have to dictate what is going on. Reacting to that dictation is just like so much harder because you don't know what they're going to do. You don't want, I mean, the DM may create two paths and they may take a third path that you never even thought that they could take. But like I said at the beginning, the great thing about D&D is it's only pretty much held back by your creativity. And if you get a creative or super creative group that can find way to do things that you just don't expect it, if you're not really good at ad-libbing, it's going to make for a bad experience for everybody.
Hmm.
So I think that the DM job is hard only based on the fact that you are just sitting there waiting to see what they do and then having to figure out a way to make whatever they do fun and interesting and not boring, and being able to react to whatever it is, the crazy stuff that they decide to come up with. Because I mean, just not in only in our campaign but in many other campaigns, I mean, the stuff that I've seen that have happened that in no way anybody could even prepare for. Honestly, there's honestly no way for a DM to prepare for stuff like that.
Hmm.
um but that's what makes, I think, being a DM fun as well. Is if you like doing that kind of stuff, if you like being creative and like being ready and expect the unexpected, I think like that's what makes DMing fun to me. And that's why
Our
I'd want to do it.
our current campaign we're getting up to is gonna be a lot of on the fly because of pretty much the entire system of our campaign is randomized. So I'm gonna know just as little as you guys are going into a lot of the campaigns about a lot of this or about a lot of sessions about a lot of the things. So there's gonna there's gonna be some bad moments. Always are. There's never no bad sessions, but there will be a lot of very good on the fly moments that I'm excited for. And again, I just have to have general ideas.
Yeah, pretty much that's what the DM does. Just come up with a
Yeah.
general, like you said, like a teacher. You just come up with a generalized plan of what you
It's
want
so similar. I have nobody to tell this because nobody is a teacher and a DM. I have nobody to
to.
explain this to.
Yeah, like literally, you can just come up with what you come up with, but like you don't know what's gonna happen. So
I told my fiance that idea and she just gave me like a blank stare. What do you mean Dungeons and Dragons is like teaching? You have to provide for us one day. You know that, right?
oh, that's funny.
So, before we get on here, Shadow, just quickly, what would stop you from wanting to DM? Is what I'm just interested because I know that you've talked about it a lot.
Um, time
Yeah.
sometimes, in general, because here's the thing: is that I don't. I am when it comes to D&D and when it comes to other things. I mean, for some people, a lot of people that know me, if I am passionate about something, I don't like going into doing things kind of like half. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I like to fully dive into it, and I feel like the problem with me DMing is that a lot of times I'm never satisfied with what I do. So it's like I think the problem is me getting in the way of myself sometimes. Is because I
Yeah.
want it to make it the most immersive, the most, the best that can possibly be, and sometimes I feel like I can't give that to people. Even though I'm probably can. I mean, I've always been very good at like ad libbing, and I mean I did pretty good since, I mean, the last campaign was my first campaign I've ever done in D&D, even though I've watched it. I
Mhm.
think I did pretty good at the first campaign at coming up with things on the fly, and I, I'm I always saw myself as a very creative, being able to create a world and everything like that. But I think it's just that I put too many. I think the problem will always be the high expectations that I have of myself and what I create for other people. That would make being a DM so hard for me,
Mhm.
because I would go in with the expectations that, I want this to be a great campaign. I want to be able to do this or that, and then as soon as something goes wrong or something, I would feel like horrible about it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. That's fair.
So high expectations, I think, would be the hard part. Even though I'm sure that I'm probably capable of doing it. I mean, we'll see whether I have a lot of fun being the player for now, though. I think maybe once we get through, we start in this campaign and everything like that, and maybe I'll learn a few more things as I go along, and maybe I'll feel a little more comfortable doing it eventually. Right
Yeah.
now, I would right now I would be okay with DMing a one shot.
Mhm.
Starting
Well,
off small is something that I can get more, you know, comfortable with it. And I think one shots are a good way to do that. Is that it'll at least give you like an experience of being a DM without it being a, you know, however long process of having to keep up with it.
We could do that.
So that's definitely what I'm shooting
yeah.
for. I'm shooting to make a one shot just so I can get the feel of the experience of it, kind of see like, okay, what do I need to work on, what I don't need to work on, stuff like that. So uh
Yeah.
I'm thinking that eventually here, I'd like to, in the coming future here, to at least do a one off with everybody.
We can make that happen. Raptor can be a cameo in the campaign
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
session.
especially since Raptor I feel like wants to play as well too.
Speaking of which, I do have cameos planned, so get ready. This is gonna be good.
Oh, sweet.
Are
Well,
any of
you got
them gonna be as good as Dumpus?
Or the
was
or
Dumpus really a cameo though? He was just me.
That's true.
No, nothing better than Dumpus and the brothers.
The brothers were pretty elite. Okay, from from here we'll go into our community question. This is actually comes from one of our fellow barbarians that did in fact play with us. This is from Valis. So he asks, "This is I'm not I'm going last." He said, "Do you think it is okay for a DM to fudge dice rolls?" It's a very good question, Valis. I'm very interested to hear the answers.
I think our DM was fudging dice rolls personally. Um, and also well, for the most part, the only person that doesn't have their rolls publicly displayed like in the format that we play, because most of the people are using the D&D
D&D
Beyond
Beyond.
to do their rolls. Um,
Hey, in real life, DMs roll behind screens. I was just doing that, but
Listen, you
online.
can defend yourself later, okay?
That's fine.
You- no,
I have lots to say.
to me, I believe it's okay if it's for the better of the story and the better of the campaign. Because I mean, in one way, if the campaign is too easy, it doesn't make it fun. I mean, take for instance Pritch with his barbarian. I know
whoa,
if your
whoa, whoa,
barbarian
whoa.
if your
Yeah,
barbarian
we're
went
blaming this
around,
on you.
yeah, no, if your barbarian went around and was able to just one shot every single thing that he did, every single monster he came up, it would get so freaking boring after a while, like there's nothing. I feel like there's nothing good that comes about that. If say the DM one night was just rolling horribly all night long, and his character was one shotting everything, one shot, and there's nothing else for the party to do, nothing else for anything else to do. I feel like that's just super boring and without any kind of conflict whatsoever. Like, because every great story has a conflict. All right, and if you went through an entire campaign with no conflict, what fun would that possibly be? So I do believe that I mean, I'm sure that Raptor probably did, but I feel like Raptor wouldn't do it if it wasn't for the better of the campaign. I feel like he's a DM that wouldn't do it just to vindictively, try to hurt somebody or go against somebody, or not everybody. I can't say everybody, but some people. But I feel like it's a needed thing, honestly, for DMs. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that disagree and say, "Oh, you should be honest all the time," and everything like that. And yes, okay, like I get their side of it and everything, but I feel like sometimes it's needed to make the storyline better, because like I said, if things are too hard or too easy, because you have to look at it both the opposite way, is like, what if the players are rolling horribly all freaking night and the DM is rolling 20s or something like that, and you just get team wiped? Like, what fun and what story are you getting out of that? And if the DM doesn't sometimes say like, okay, oh, I got to pull it back, even though I just rolled like 3 20s in a row, I have to pull it back in order for them to still be able to have fun and it not get frustrating for everybody. Or say, for instance, something comes up that requires him to roll, but you really want to see it happen, like, some fun or interesting spell use of the spell, or wanting them to succeed in like a charisma, or a talking or something like that, and he just rolls insanely high against it, but he really wants to see it in order for it to move the story along and to be better. I feel like it's something that DMs have to do, because I think that they are the ones that know the story and know what's best for it. And even though a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, it's so, deceptive, and so you should never ever do that. Just let the dice go where they may." I think it's a necessary thing to do depending on the situation, and only it's wrong if you're personally trying to just hurt somebody. You know what I mean? Like, if you're personally saying like, "I
I
don't
would
want
never
this
do that.
I I don't want this character to succeed. I don't want this character to be the one to kill this thing. I want this character to die or something." Like, I feel like that in itself is a terrible thing, because there's no real good that comes from that, honestly. But I'm personally okay with it as long as it's for the better of the story and the better of the campaign. That's my opinion of it.
This doesn't really fall in line with this, but I just thought of a specific moment from our last campaign where I was trying to kick down a door, and I'm like this big, strong, like I'm supposed to be the strongest person in the campaign, and I like failed to roll to break down a door like 4 or 5 times in a row.
I'm telling you, it's a well-known thing in D&D that doors are some of the hardest things to beat. Harder than some bosses, I feel like, sometimes, because it's so expected to be easy, but it's the same exact roll as if you're trying to attack a boss or something. If you
all I
don't get
know, all I know is I have no issue with people just breaking down doors if they're naturally strong. So there was definitely something going on there. I don't remember what it was, but
I
it was a strength check that freaking he was just rolling
I
horribly
I
on.
think the fact that the strongest party member failed the strength check 4 times made me be like, no, this you can't just this door is not opening until something actually
yeah, I
happens.
don't even remember what happened afterwards, but
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, the rule of for strength wise, to me, I think the rule should, instead of having to actually pick to have an advantage, I think if you have like a strength that is a certain amount or higher, you should just automatically get advantage on things like that,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
because
see.
it's unrealistic to think that, oh, a little wee door can't be broken down by this gigantic person.
Like like I said, I don't have an issue with strong people just knocking down doors. So there had to be something going on with that door. I don't remember what it was, but something was going
Or
on
the
for
player.
sure. Or the player.
yeah,
I hated the player and the game.
I will say we had some pretty rough battles on the nights that I was rolling like crap.
Because I mean, because honestly, like, that's not even a DM. Yeah, it's not even a DM thing. That's a
Yeah.
strictly player thing. The DM doesn't roll against you in a door.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I was just like, hey, no, but honestly, if I'm like, hey, please just get a 10 and you can't get that, that's
Yeah, he controls like what it could be, but like, I mean, it still has to be realistic. You can't
yeah.
roll ones and then be like, okay, fine, he just knocked the door down.
I mean,
What
higher than a 10, that's still 50-50. That's a coin toss.
Yeah, doors are not that easy to knock down. Go knock,
They
no,
are
go
when
break
you're
down your door.
6'9" and you're a half
I'm
orc
telling
and
you,
you
man,
just
you could go to any D&D campaign and watch it, and I guarantee you they have one or more than multiple times where somebody has trouble knocking down a door, regardless of who they are, using magic, anything.
Rich, how do you feel about fudging dice rolls?
um I'm a pretty honest person, so I guess I didn't realize that that was even maybe not an issue, but like a talked about thing, I suppose.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, with you not watching D&D really before that or anything like that, but so you innocent, naive person to think that everything was honest.
I mean, I could see where that would come into play. I just like, especially on the player side, like I think you're just taking the fun out of everything by doing
Mhm.
so.
That's fair. That's
But
fair.
I mean, when you use D&D beyond the way we do, it's I mean, you can't really do that on the player side. So
Mhm. So for the DM here, um, I will always make people struggle to break down doors if they're having issues. But D
what
and
if
D,
I try
yeah.
to stealthily break down the door?
Oh, you just get it instantly. There's no way as a DM I can do anything
You
against
get
that.
sneak attack rules for doors, right? That's
Stealth is like the DM's number one enemy. Like I can't do anything against stealth. Um, as a DM, D&D is a game and it does have rules, and we're gonna get into this next topic. But the number one reason that we're all here is to tell the story. Either it's tell the story of our own character, tell a story of a party, me tell a story that's happening around you. I'm not like the biggest offender, but like sometimes telling the story requires fudging dice roll. If I need my boss to, if I need you to get to the halfway point of my boss for his body to break and the next stage to happen, and him tell you some pretty important stuff, and Pritch's character just one shots him in 3 rolls, I can't have that happen. I understand. I'll cripple him. I'll be like, hey, this battle's not the same as it was before because you did so well. I can't have him die if he needs to tell you information because I am telling a story first. So I don't. I also do fudge bad roll or my good rolls sometimes because sometimes, like you said, Shadow, you guys are really struggling, and I don't need to get that nat 20 right now. Um, It's yeah, I don't do it in a way that makes it any less um in my opinion, it makes it any less important that you're doing the things that you're doing. But like I said, I can't maybe I need that boss to stick around one more turn or maybe like maybe I need that maybe the NPC that you're trying to seduce I like cannot have seduced. So like
Oh,
and
dude,
then again that
the girl I tried to seduce or did seduce, I don't remember if it was successful or not. She ended up being like the main boss at the end of the campaign.
Oh yeah, you never seduced her. She like just wanted you to that, take it from Pritch. When you try to seduce a woman, they become your biggest enemy.
Yeah, I mean, but I was just a big dumb horny idiot is what my character was. So I mean, it's the way it
So like
goes,
True.
like nothing different than real life.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I do fudge dice rolls. At the same time, every DMs have rolled behind screens since the beginning of D&D, so it's not like a weird thing that if you have a campaign with someone, they probably fudged a couple dice rolls just because it's about telling a story. Honestly, the DMs that roll out in front of everyone, I don't trust those people. I do not trust DMs that roll in front
That's
of
why I
everybody.
don't understand, honestly, why people are always so shocked or so like appalled by the fact that DMs do fudge dice rolls, because I mean it has to be like an obvious thing. I mean, like you said, they've been rolling behind screen. What possible reason, honestly, is there to roll behind a screen if
Mhm.
they're not going to have to use that at some point or another? On
Look,
let's be honest.
and here's the thing, Pritch. When I fudge a dice roll, I'm fudging that so that my boss could stick around for 2 more rounds. You just did 73 damage to him in 1 turn. He's not gonna win. I just need him to say like a one-liner.
I don't have a problem
So
with it. I didn't know it was such a prominently talked about thing. Like I didn't.
Yeah. It's not though, because it's just I guess it's just kind of accepted, but
I think the people that like think that it shouldn't be done should do an entire campaign with it, and I guarantee they're probably going to have a lot of times they're going to have a worse experience. I mean, they could get team wiped at any moment. I mean, especially the lower levels, you could get team wiped right away. Honestly,
if I never fudged a dice roll, you would
at least one
uh
person will die.
the players would die. They would steamroll through every boss and not enjoy the fights, and you would just get whatever you wanted whenever you wanted, and it wouldn't be a campaign. So in the end, it is about telling a story, and I want to tell a story and have you guys play through that story over meticulous little things. And also, I guess what I've been kind of mixing up here is technically I'm not actually fudging dice rolls on fights. I'm actually fudging health. So a very big what is the word? There's a very big idea in the DMing community that it is more important for a boss to die in a good way than it is to have a stat, and when you guys hit that stat, boss is done. So I don't actually so not actually fudging dice rolls, but in boss fights I do occasionally say like, "Hey, Prince just did all of its health in 1 turn. Let's give it 25 more. He just did 80,000 health in 1 round. 25 gives enough just to stay up." But so fudging
Yeah,
is sometimes required, but then that
it is.
that'll lead us into our next topic, which I'm also interested to hear you guys' opinions on. In D&D, are rules important? Is D&D more fun when you ignore rules? So what do you guys think? What do you think, Pritch? You go
Well,
first with
coming
this one.
from someone who doesn't know the rules really, like I know at a very low level things, like I mean we could be breaking rules and I'd have no idea most of the time. So I
That's fair.
I don't know. I mean, I think it circles back to the same the question, like the community question is if it's for the betterment of the campaign, I don't think there's an issue with it.
Mhm.
I mean, that doesn't have to be just about D&D. I mean, you think of any game where creativity is a big part of it. And I mean, do you think that if they had a set of rules that you strictly had to follow by and there was no getting off of that, would you honestly think it would be more fun?
I have a
Well, it depends.
comparison. You guys I'm sure you guys are both avid Uno players.
Oh, I love Uno.
Do you play where like if someone plays like a draw two and then the person that was supposed to draw two plays another draw two, then the person after that has to draw four?
Yes,
That's not a
and
real rule. It's
I've
not
always thought that was the rule, and it's apparently it's not.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
not
a
the
rule.
rule.
And
It's a homebrew rule.
that is infinitely more fun than like
Right.
Even though they've put it in like the actual games itself now though, like when if you play um like the games on like Xbox or something like that, that's still a thing.
the only
If
thing
you
I
do
think
that,
is
it will transfer to the next person.
the only thing I think is unacceptable is stacking plus fours and plus twos.
Like playing two at the same time?
No, like a lot of people play it where you can put if I put down a plus four, you could put down a plus two and
Oh
shadow draw
no.
six. Shadow
If
draw
they put
six.
down a plus four, like a four
You can
and a
stack
four,
plus four.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, it depends on the color though, right? I mean, like if they pick red, you can put down a
well,
plus two red.
No.
no.
Well, you
But
the
then
next person could.
yeah, you
You're
still but you're drawing four cards. You don't I don't
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, stacking that. Oh yeah, okay, I get what you mean. Yeah, that's not a thing. But but that's what I'm saying, Bridget. Would you honestly think that that's kind of how the question is though? Like if that like stuff like that, if you know if we had to set by the base rules of something that was laid down and never strayed from it, would you find that games would be more fun or less fun?
I yeah, no, definitely not. I've played in the campaign like that. It's just not fun. It's like, oh, like in my campaign, they're a little more relaxed on like when did we ever really care about rations? That is a D&D rule that you were supposed to
Yes.
consume rations
Carry weight.
once a day, or you're gonna
We
start getting exhausted.
we got
Carry
to a
weight.
point where I was like,
Right.
yeah, wait, dude, I had so many things on me. And as
That's a
far as
rule.
like the
Carry weight.
rations, I was like, why do we even have these? Like,
Exactly.
those are
No.
those rules that I don't know about. So like,
Weight and rations are rules that I've always found just can be useless because I don't as a DM that have a million things going on, I don't want to track that if you've eaten today, if you've pooped today, if you've carrying too much today. Like I don't have time, I do not have time or the attention span to deal with that. It's
I
just not fun. And then like it gets to this. Okay, you know what? Shadow, your bard character, you can't carry a plane with a bus or something like that with you. But like you can carry
realistically, yeah,
as many
you should.
weapons as you want, and I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like, I think that it's the answer is both yes and no when it comes to fun and ignore. Like, you need a set of rules. There is just no doubt about that.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
cannot
100%.
have chaos. You need. I think the people that just go like, okay, I'm fine with the fact if people say like, okay, you're given this set of rules for D&D and they follow those rules to the T. Like they follow them. Okay, that's great and fine, and I'm perfectly okay with people that do that. And I'm sure that there are people out there that are very hardcore about their rules and everything like that.
Rules lawyer. Yeah, we
Yeah.
had one of those.
And I think you need those rules. You absolutely do, because like if you have no rules at all, then it's just chaos and they can do whatever they want. So I
Yeah,
think a base set of rules is 100% needed, and a lot of them are 100% needed to be followed.
yeah. Oh, I'm
But
100%. Like,
if
mhm,
you stay, I feel like if you stay to the rules too many times, it restricts the creativity of the players. If they come up with something super creative and super interesting and could really like make the experience of playing D&D interesting, and you
mhm.
say, well, the rule says blah blah blah, rule 2 point something or whatever, you say that, and
actually,
you're and you say, "Ah, dude, that sounds really cool, but you can't do it because this rule says no, you can't do that. That's D&D. That's how it goes." Well, then like you're restricting the thing that makes D&D the most fun, and
Yeah,
that's creativity. So I think that the base set of rules should always be there because they're important in order to make the game function correctly and to make you know there be less chaos, but it should never be taken seriously. I think that the rules should just always be the baseline is all. It should never be the golden rule. It should never be taken like too seriously. And like I said, I have nothing against people that take their rules seriously and are will
yeah.
stick to them regardless. If that's the kind of campaign they want to run, then that's the kind of campaign they want to run. I have nothing against people like that. But they have to there's people that also have to understand that each campaign is unique in its own way. Each DM is unique in their own way. They're each going to have different rules and everything like that. So that's why I don't like rules lawyers, because this campaign might be different than the last campaign you played in. It's not
Mhm.
going to be exactly the same. Some DMs are going to be a little more loose with the rules than other ones are. So that's why, I mean, most of the time you'll never, even though I know a lot of the rules in D&D, most of the time you'll never see me say like, oh, but this rule is this, you
It's just not
shouldn't do
worth it,
this.
too. And what if I actually just forgot something and it's like, and then we're like going with it as I forgot, and you're like, hey, don't forget that. Like, shut up, dude. I don't care. Like, we're
Yeah,
going with
like
it now.
it should. I just think it shouldn't be like the final thing. Like it shouldn't be. Well, the rule book says this. We have to do it. You can't do this really super creative, fun, interesting thing because the rule says so. I think,
Look,
like I've said
yeah,
before, like if it blocks the creativity of players, if it blocks being able to make the game more fun and enjoyable for everybody, then what good is it to possibly even have that kind of set of rules? But I mean, you do still need. It's just like anything else. You still need rules, and
and
I'm
so
glad that they're in
yeah,
place.
like again, it is about it telling a story, and it's about wanting you guys to feel cool. So you cannot cast two spells in a turn. You can't cast a cantrip in a spell in a turn. You can do one magical thing like that a turn. But if you have a really cool idea of how you're gonna cast this cantrip, and that's gonna allow you to like I'm gonna cast this like toxic cloud cantrip, and then I'm gonna cast fireball and light the room on all the toxic cloud on fire. I'm gonna be like, hey, just so you know, guys, you can't do this, but that's really cool. We're gonna try it right now. Like you need a set of rules. Like you need we need movement speed, and you need to know how many times you can attack, how you hit stuff. You need to know that you can't just go into town and intimidate every single NPC and you just own the town now. Like you need a base set of rules, but at the same time, I want I want it to be cool too. So
The base
it's
set of rules are good for like definitely. I think that you need the base set of rules are really good for battles. For
yeah.
battles wise, I think a base set of rules is probably needed because it's going to make things a lot more fair for everybody. Outside of battle, to me, is when I think that rules should be taken less seriously.
Mhm.
Um,
100%. Oh,
like
100%.
in battle, like you have to follow a set of rules, or it's going to be sided one way or the other. Like, oh, just let the person cast 3 spells in a turn. Just let the person run 500
Yeah.
feet or wherever. Like that kind of stuff makes no sense. It doesn't really help anything but the player most of the time, or the enemy. Like stuff like that. It just makes no sense to not have that kind of set of rule.
Mhm.
Outside of battle is when to me that the rule set is should be as open as the DM wants it to be, because it could be a situation that isn't life or death or something like that. It isn't battle, it isn't life or death. They come up with a really cool idea to do something that normally that character wouldn't be able to do, or you wouldn't be able to use things this way, or something like that. Like that's when to me that the rules should be bent because like of for something that's creative. In battle, I think a base set of rules is needed for a reason, and I think almost the same set of some set of rules have been in place for as long as D&D's been around in battle, because they realize that that's just what's needed. You shouldn't be able to do whatever the heck you feel like it. But I think that when you take rules too seriously outside of battle, it makes things a lot less fun. I
Yeah.
think that's when the rules should be kind of, the template of things. But I mean, if
Yeah.
you're talking super unrealistic where like your freaking barbarian can jump 2,000 feet in the air or something like that,
Rich.
that's not something that's helpful or realistic or anything, creative. It's just something they want to use to try to bend the rules. Then no. But if it's something, oh, like this person uses this weapon in a crazy unique way, or uses the spell in a crazy unique way that most of the time they wouldn't be able to do that, then
Mhm.
I believe absolutely the rules should just be you know ignored, honestly, in that situation.
Yeah. And like the way I see it is in outside of combat, you like inside of combat you have 6 seconds to do your thing. Outside of combat, you should have enough time to figure out most things. Like, oh, you can only cast one spell every 6 seconds. All right, I cast 3 spells and it's been 18 secones.
Yeah, I
That took a
mean,
lot. It took a lot of skill to do that math that quick, Rich. I hope you're proud of me.
Proud of you.
I almost said 12 plus.
Can you imagine having to, if like the same rule set applied outside of battle, where like, hey, you can only move 20 feet at a time before you
Yeah,
have to stop,
yeah.
and the next person has to move.
Well, how many turns until I can get to the bar? Then I'm just gonna hang out there.
We're gonna take a walk across town. That's 2 sessions worth of.
you can only have one beer every 10 rounds.
Yeah.
Oh man, like that's where I think, like, to me, I just don't like. That's why I don't like rules lawyers at all in general. It's just the people that take. I don't think that D&D was meant to be taken seriously. I think it's just one of those things that I think people get way too serious about something that was made to be fun and creative and everything like that. And I think the people that are rules lawyers and do that type of thing just suck the fun out of the experience, because like I said, every single campaign is unique. Every single
Mhm.
campaign is different. Now, your last campaign might have been that rules guy that's like, okay, guys, this is the set of rules. This is the rules we're following from beginning to end, no matter what. And that's fine. that's great. But this DM may be completely different. This DM may be the complete opposite. So why bring up what your last DM did or what your last set of rules were to this
Yeah,
DM when it's a completely different person? They're not going to have the same exact thoughts as the last DM, because I feel like rules lawyers need to realize they're missing the point of D&D. If you ask me, that's how I look at it.
yeah.
Is rules lawyers are missing the point of D&D, which is to have a fun, creative experience and not be locked down by a set of rules. And I think that's what D&D is. It's something that is not constrained by rules. It is based around a set of rules, but not constrained to the rules.
Mhm.
And when you're
So
like, "But this book says this, you can't do that. DM, you can't make us do that. The book says this." Like, what are you doing? What fun is that?
Shadow, I don't watch it because I don't have time, but um, Critical Role, which is arguably the biggest D&D, I don't know, outlet media piece of media.
Yeah, they're
How are they on the rules?
um honestly, that was just like I feel like Matt was exactly how I said. He followed the rules until the rules were something that would hold the player back from using creativity and stuff like that. Because I
Yeah,
know I'm watching as many times as I would. I know he's been like, "Oh, that's not normal," but we're gonna allow it to do it this time. It's just one of those things that, like I said, a good DM will put the players' creativity and all that kind of stuff ahead of the rules sometimes. Now, in
mhm,
battle, he is. I mean, if anybody's ever seen Matt Mercer you know in battle, he knows the rules, man, and he most
yeah,
of the time he will stick by them through the battle because I think, like I said, that's when it's needed to have a set of rules down. He's not going to let you cast 3 spells in a turn. He's not going to let you do this or that. I mean, the guy is amazing when it comes to like, I'm not even saying like as a DM, just understanding the rule set and everything like that. And I think he's one of the better ones that understand also that um, it's more about player experience than it is the rule set. So, like outside of battle, I think he's one of the better ones. I mean, it's a matter of he won't let you do something that is completely insane, unrealistic, could never even happen. But that I've seen he's been one of those ones that are more interested in having a player experience than it is
yeah,
living by a set of rules. And if
yeah.
he's like, people put him at the very top of the Mount Rushmore of DMs and stuff like that, and he's like that. That's why I never understood rules lawyers, is because of the fact that we're talking about probably one of the best DMs, if not the best DM, and even he understands the fact that like not every single solitary rule should be followed to a T. Sometimes there are times where in order to make the player's experience better that they need to be ignored a little bit.
Mhm.
So
And
that's why
like
I
like you said, every campaign's different. Our campaign will be will follow the rules more because you are pirates. You're gonna have to. I'm gonna make you worry about rations, and I'm gonna check and make sure you worry about rations because you set sail and you have nothing on the boat. You will all probably die. So
yeah, I mean it all depends on the campaign and everything like that. I mean, on our campaign, I don't think it was like the beginner campaign, I don't think it was really needed too much to worry about that kind of stuff. I mean, we were just kind of everybody learning how to do things and all that. I mean, it was such a small part of the experience going out. I mean, I'm sure that if we really wanted to, we had more than enough gold or more than enough whatever to be able to get food whenever we felt like it.
mhm,
The boat one, yeah, I understand more that it's going to require that because that's just how things are on a boat. Like if you don't have
yeah,
enough food for 6 people, then what's going to happen?
I think I'm
yeah,
gonna
And
be
you're so limited.
the least experienced player again because I'm pretty
I think
sure
so.
everyone, including my wife, has played numerous campaigns, and I know right. She used to watch Critical Role quite a bit. I don't think she does anymore, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like I said,
I'm
I mean, I get it with it makes more sense on a boat because of the fact that like you have such um like it's limited food, like you have to make it last for however long you're going to be on the water. You don't have access to it 24/7. You can't just go to this town and grab, this thing. You're on the seas, So it's
Mhm.
kind of needed that you need to be able to ration that kind of stuff, make sure that everybody survives because it's not something that's readily available every single day type thing. So in that sense, it makes a lot more sense than the campaign that we did, where I mean, we were mostly in places where if we really wanted to make it about like rations and getting food, we probably easily could have done it without any problem. I mean, we were near towns all the time. We were now around places that we could have gotten food at any moment we felt like it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think it was really needed that much.
No,
Now that
you're gonna be on deserted islands where it's like, all right, well, you didn't leave with any food. Now you're all starving. So please find food on this island, or you will die.
to me, the rations aren't the most annoying thing. To me, the most annoying thing would always be the weight.
And we have a clever way to not have to worry about weight now, do we? It's the same reason you need rations is because you're on the sea on a boat.
Yeah, I think that was always like it's almost exactly like it's like that in even video games that I play. I mean, the thing that is most annoying about the video games is carrying weight. I can't tell
There's
you how many
there's nothing
times.
worse than you having like a full inventory and absolutely nothing to get rid of, and
Oh,
you can't sprint.
you can't sprint and you can't some places you can't even walk at all when you have too much. But then you find like this super important thing and you can't do anything with it. That's why I hate in carrying weight in anything. I hate it in D&D. I hate it in video games. It just
Yeah.
so is the most annoying thing to me when it comes to anything. Honestly, just being like, well, you can't do this without dropping this. I'm like, I get it. It's realistic wise. I get it, but it doesn't make it any less freaking annoying.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be good. But yeah, do you guys have anything else you want to mention or add?
Where's all the rum gone?
I love
We
D&D.
we might have to do some recon in Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
I guess Raptor apparently doesn't have the game, but
If one of our three viewers, who is just one, if one of you guys, who's our three viewers, wants to buy me the game, then that would be appreciated. Mom, can I have $30?
Mum,
If you're still there, can I have $30,
I think your
please?
mom left you a long time
She
ago.
she had Apple TV to watch or
She had
something.
Apple TV, man. She had one day for that. She had
Anyways,
one day. I mean, somebody
yeah,
just needs to buy. Honestly, somebody just needs to buy you a 1 month subscription to Game Pass. So you don't even need $30.
it's
You need
yeah.
10.
If they offer me if no, it's like $16 here
What?
conversion. If
yeah,
Oh
they
they
yeah,
they
yeah
pay with like Looney Tunes or something. Like,
yeah
loonies and
yeah,
tuning. Yeah, yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't seen the Skull and Bones thing. Like, is that more realistic? Have you actually seen anything on that? Is it a more realistic version of sailing than Sea
it's
of Thieves?
you're more so you're controlling like the entire boat as opposed to just being a crewmate on the boat.
So,
In
so
Skull and Bones, you're like the captain, and then like you're basically controlling the whole thing as you're moving around. And then, I mean, you can get off the boat when you're on an island, but I don't know. It doesn't have the
so that's going to be closer to our campaign than Sea of Thieves is going to be.
yeah. Well, whatever.
well,
We
no, because like Sea of Thieves, like you're one person. It's like if I'm playing with you guys, you're not experienced at the game. I can't. It's hard to carry your entire ship because you need people doing different
I
things
mean,
all the time.
if Skull and Bones is that way, then that's going to be like because everybody's going to have an individual job in order to make the boat move and
Right. That's more
survive.
like
Like
Sea of Thieves, though.
Sea of Thieves, I mean, you have one person that can make the entire boat go in Sea of Thieves. Like you could get the biggest ship, and still be able to sail around no problem, and then fight like no problem
That
against
is
another.
false.
How is that false?
not
I
no problem. But anyways,
not no problem, but you're able to do it yourself if you really want to. In a real boat,
we're
you
old men
can't do
tirade.
that. You
Um,
know.
Anyways, unless we have anything to add to the topic of D&D, we will save this for
That
the
was that was topic
we
of the D&D.
we have saved this for the Sea of Thieves versus Skull and Bones podcast
God,
topic.
we are not doing that.
Yeah. Anything else to add, guys?
No. Okay, bye.
Someone buy
No.
me Sea of Thieves. It was that'll be our podcast for today. Great topics on D&D and all this stuff. We post this on YouTube. Please go watch it. We need it. We love you. Get us to 100 views on an episode without it resetting.
Yeah, that'd be
Yep.
chill.
That'd be
Thank
great.
you all. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week.